Hello and welcome to Nerdy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdist Dave, and today I'm joined by DBFig. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I kind of found you through D&D TikTok, right? And
Yeah.
then I started investigating. But you're not really a D&D YouTuber. You're a video game YouTuber.
Yeah, I come from the digital side of gaming mainly. But I'm new and I'm excited to
Yeah.
learn more about D&D for sure.
No, and that's awesome. So, as always, folks, the links are in the description. And after this isn't live anymore, we'll put them up in the pinned comment as well. But you've also have a one shot YouTube channel that you've been doing. You got some gameplays over there. Like I said, you're building part of the TikTok community for Dungeons and Dragons as well. And you're telling me that you're new to D&D actually.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny story. It's one of those that when I was a teenager, some guy at some random garage sale just gave me an entire stack of the D&D books, the Monster Manual, the Player's Guide, and the DM Guide, the second edition. And I was like, "Oh, I've heard of this game. Let me read through it." And I read through it. I enjoyed reading the books. The problem is, no one ever wanted to play with me.
Yeah.
So it kind of went into the annals of like parents' closet there somewhere. And a couple decades later, a friend was like, "Hey, you want to try it out?" And now I'm really into it. I'm enjoying playing my very first campaign right now, a modified version of Curse of Strahd.
Back in the day, it was kind of still obscure and a hard sell for sure. I mean, me and you were close to the same age.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember being a teen playing, and there was only a handful of people that played in our neighborhood, and most of them were my friends, and we got in at the same time. So
Yeah, I think I had like one friend that was willing to give it a try, and I started teaching him, Thaco and whatever else was in the book, and pretty much his eyes glazed over, and he wanted to play some Contra for the Super Nintendo, and that was pretty much the beginning and the end of that experiment.
yeah. Well, Contra was a really good game
Yeah, no,
back
no,
in the day.
I trust me, I completely understand why you want to play Contra. It's a great game.
um so I've only been talking to you for a little while. You mentioned like two of my favorite games, Altered Beast and Contra from back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, I love those games. This is what I grew up on. The old Nintendo, Super Nintendo era. That was pretty much just my era of playing
Some
games.
Gauntlet.
The Gauntlet, most definitely Gauntlet. Gauntlet was amazing. Barbarian needs food.
Yeah. We had, and really they were just these pixelated blocks. We had
Exactly.
like one store, right? We called it the corner store, where it's like a deli and like a quick mart before quick marts,
Yep.
type store. And it had like one video game, and it was Gauntlet, and we would just like spend hours eating that
Yeah.
machine quarters.
Oh yeah, it was amazing back in the days. In my neighborhood, it was the same type of situation where I grew up, and it was mainly like the fighting games. So the original Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and pretty much that was the goal. Was go there. You had maybe about $4 worth of quarters. You just put your quarter up to hold your
Yeah.
place, and you just kept on going, and until you walked out the champion or broke.
So how did you get into D&D this time around?
Well, it's fairly interesting. It's something that's always been in the back of my head ever since I had that second edition. I'm like, D&D seems like a fun game, but I didn't know anybody. I didn't know who to play with. There was no one local around. And then as I was streaming and YouTubing, I made friends with this other person that was also fairly newish, but he's already ran a couple campaigns. He went really into learning how to be a DM, and he invited me. And I was like, you know what? Let me convert one of my normal video game stream days into a campaign day. And he taught me how to the basics of like D&D Beyond, playing 100% online. And now we're doing his modified Curse of Straw campaign, 27 sessions in, and I'm pretty much excited for every Sunday.
You keep saying modified. Why do you call it modified?
Basically, from what he was telling me is that he wanted to do a lot more homebrew.
Mhm.
So he basically took out, like he added in gave us the option to run through. I forget the name of the very first dungeon that you possibly could run through. I think it's
The Death House one they
the
put
Death
out.
House. Yeah, we never went through that. And we actually kind of circumvented around that. He tried to get us there, but we kind of went nope. And he's added a couple more monsters. We've been finding like different types of golems and stuff in there. And now we're actually at level 12 and still only like maybe 70% of through the actual module itself, story wise. So he's like, hey, he goes, everything from this point forward, even though we have the set pieces, he's just changing everything around it except for the end. So we might be like level 15, 16, 17 by the end of the campaign.
Not wrong with that. I mean, like all D&D adventures, especially when you're talking about pre-written, are kind of modified anyway.
Yeah.
I usually it's typically with a more experienced DM, but it sounds like your friend is off and running and starting earlier. Also, I feel like I'm running into a lot of new gamers who like are going all in, right? Like I feel like, a lot of times in the old days, like people would play a while before they'd even think about DMing. And now it's like people are like, they play a game and then they're like, they go from playing a game to DMing, publishing stuff, and like, all in the industry, which is great. I love the enthusiasm.
Yeah, I think honestly it's coming, and I'm kind of following that trend. I don't know about publishing anything, but I'm kind of following the trend of like I actually want a DM, and that mainly spurred from like me reading through the second edition as a teenager. I was like I had all these ideas in my head of what to play, what to have fun with, and now I have the tools and kind of like the people I'm playing with right now have already kind of agreed that they're willing to be like guinea pigs
Yeah.
when I become a DM for the first time. And I think the tools that are online, the ability of the internet for everyone to reach out, I think that's kind of accelerated a lot of people moving forward, which I think is a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, in this version of D&D is really streamlined, so it does make it a lot easier for players to get in. Now, I will say there are a lot easier RPGs to actually play, but D&D just has the brand recognition and people know what it is.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. And kind of funny you mentioned that is that before I even got the D&D books, I actually, and I don't know why I did it. Maybe because it was like on some sale. I got the through Paizo the Pathfinder first edition books at all PDF through some sale, and maybe one day I'll learn Pathfinder. But yeah, it's one of those. I didn't know how vast the TTRPG space is, and then now I have more and more people telling me about it, and there's so many interesting games and stuff out there. But like you said, D&D is the main, like the one with the biggest name attached to it. So I'm kind of like, hey, let me get a grasp on this first, and then I'll branch out to everything else.
Nice. So, what kind of character are you playing?
Right now, I'm playing a feral monk named Kelma Den. I love playing this character. He is, in my mind, hilarious because he's the epitome of the good guy who has absolutely no social skills whatsoever. So he ends up sounding like a big jerk, but he's trying to do the right thing at all times, and he has no filter. So when someone is like doing something, and there was many times that I caused a fight because our thief, who has amazing charisma, couldn't negotiate it out of the situation. Kelma just blurts something out because he's like, "You're lying," because he has high insight. He's like, "Nope,
Yeah.
you're lying," and the thief was like, "Shut up."
The thief's lying or the NPC's lying?
Or the NPC's lying, and that's just how blunt he is about things.
What is a
And
feral monk?
from what I've read, I guess it's just a different modified version of the monk ancestry, and it's, well, at least stat wise, from what I was told by my DM,
Uh,
is that instead of having the +2 in charisma, he has +2 in dexterity. Um, and I guess the backstory is more of like they they are the more of the outcast, because how tieflings are kind of like outcasts in general. They're
mhm.
like even more of the outcast. They're almost like hermit like.
Oh, okay. So you're a feral tiefling. That's a monk.
Yeah, yeah, feral tiefling monk. Yeah.
Is that the one with the wings? Do you have wings?
No, I don't have wings, or I don't think I'm supposed to have wings. If I don't have wings,
There's
yeah,
there's a bunch of sub races
yeah,
for the tiefling.
I definitely don't have wings. You know, I am blue for reasons, and my DM was like, "Oh yeah, they're all supposed to be, technically all supposed to be red," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"I'm blue now," and that's what I wrote on my character sheet.
Oh, you know what it is? I think the feral one have choices they can make, and wings is one of them.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I never went that option. I'm just kind of just the standard.
Yeah,
Of it.
because you have the variants: Devil's Tongue, Hellfire, Winged.
Oh yeah, I think actually, you know what? I think he told me specifically because again, he's a new DM as well, and he's like, I'm not going to deal with flying people that much because
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to deal with flying. So he goes, stay on the ground, and we'll call it a day.
No wings for you.
Wings. So
Yeah. Wings trigger GMs is what I've seen from my experience.
well, that's just another dimension that you have to kind of measure out for when you're doing these things. So I understand it.
Nothing that can't be fixed with a sleep spell.
True, very true. Sleep spell, like a hold person, some whatever you can, just to kind of.
We have a Eric Croker in our Curse of Strahd game. So they're playing like a vulture person, Fletch,
Oh,
and they got power word stunned out of the air. It was the same session that my character died. So
oh,
that one was that was brutal. But fortunately, they weren't flying that high.
oh, good, 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 good. So the impact when they fell wasn't that bad.
It wasn't too bad. Yeah. So Brian wants to know if you lost a PC yet.
No, Kelma is my one and only, and he's survived. He has been the one to fall down the most. He has fallen the most, but luckily I haven't died yet. I was real close one time, but the warlock was able to get me up, and it was like I always hear that people get like sometimes get really attached to their characters, and I guess
Uh
because this is my first person, I'm like, no, he is not dying.
huh.
But then the DM's like, then why do you like charge forward like a barbarian? I would go, it's like because Kama's a moron. Like,
But I love him so much, even though he's a moron.
yeah, it's a moron. Like story wise, he's we just hit level 12, but he's 11 monk, and I put one in barbarian
uh,
because of his backstory and the way I've been kind of role playing him. I'm like, it makes complete sense that this guy, the way he's acting, he's not the you know uh very calm monk. He's not the serene thinking monk. He's the Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan style, kung fu fighter guy. Like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
you want to, you want this? Let's go. And I'm like, it makes sense that he has like a rage, that he's one level in barbarian. He goes in, and we even integrated in the story that we have a barbarian in a party, a minotaur, and I basically role played that before I decided to take the one level barbarian, that the barbarian taught me how to harness my rage
Okay.
before moving forward, so that way there was a storyline excuse of why he's taking a level on barbarian.
So prior to that, he just had anger issues.
Yeah, prior to that he just but
then he went to some therapy sessions with the Minotaur Barbarian, right? And he
yeah,
worked it out.
yeah, basically. And it was like it's not that he does, like, it's funny, it's not like he has like anger issues. It's more like he if there's a diplomatic way of doing things, he's the guy who'll just sit there and just stare at the bad guy until the bad guy goes, "What are you looking at?" And he goes, "Looking at you." You want to start something, and I'm just like, we just move forward from there. But it's been a lot of fun, especially because the warlock in our party and my character have this weird rivalry going on, and there's been many stunning strikes I've laid on him, and he's hold person me on many RP sessions. Just, just I think the funniest one was that he did something that blew up a cart, and the minotaur had a pet cat that we
Mm-hmm.
found on the party. Blowing up the cart killed the cat. My character was mad about that. The Minotaur was just sad. And when we went to the bar, I bought him a drink. I said, you're better than this. Don't do reckless things like that. And as after he agreed, as I walked away, I hit him with a stunning strike and left. So it's been pretty fun.
So, do you play a lot of, or have you played a lot of RPG video games?
Yeah, most definitely. On my Twitch channel, I do a lot of RPG stuff, especially a lot of things like Elder Scrolls games, a lot of open world RPGs type of stuff. I love playing the Skyrims. Matter of fact, I'm playing a modified version of the second Elder Scrolls game called Daggerfall. Been playing many of those. I love the old JRPGs. One of my favorite games of all time is Chrono Trigger from the Super Nintendo. Um,
Yeah, I think Ted used to play that one too.
yeah,
Oh, it's kind of like all those like Final Fantasy style games.
Yeah, and that's what I grew up on, and I think that's what attracted me to D&D in the first place, was because I've always enjoyed fantasy and those type of things. But even when in the video game realm, I played a couple MMOs, and I played a game called, and it's crazy enough still active, a game called Dragon Realms. It was a text based MMO. It was a MUD,
Yeah, yeah.
and I played that, and that was the closest I got to D&D. And then that's why I think D&D was always kind of in my mind over time, going, this is my natural progression of liking fantasy RPG type of stuff. I might as well start learning, like, quote unquote, the big boy version.
Yeah, so I guess like I was first exposed to tabletop RPGs when I was really young. And then it would be like my tweens when I kind of like really started playing. So like when I was first exposed to it, like I didn't even own a video game console per se. Like we were still going to arcades. Like some of my friends had Atari. My more affluent friends had like a ColecoVision. And then like eventually like my first game was, the NES, Nintendo. And that was like for us, like I would play all like side scrollers and fighting games, right? Pretty much
Yep.
was like my thing. Like Ghosts and Goblins was like the friggin' hardest game ever.
It still is. It still is the hard.
And you mentioned Contra and Altered Beast, but lots of like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. So like I feel like I never, because I was playing tabletop RPGs on the video game sides, I never moved into RPGs or had any real interest in them.
Yeah, and I think mine was like the polar opposite of that. Like, I didn't get exposed to any type of tabletop RPGs until I just happened to run into those books. And even then, I had no one to play with, so I just read the books. But when
Yeah.
I was younger, I played the Atari. I had a ColecoVision, and I played games like Smurfs and Ladybug back in the day. Uh,
Pitfall.
yeah, Pitfall. To this day, I didn't realize, when I was younger, I didn't realize that Pitfall technically had an ending. I just figured you just kept on running until you fell into a
Yeah,
pit.
yeah.
Sword Quest on
Oh,
the
what
old.
what was it? Was it called Combat with the tanks and
Yep.
helicopters?
Combat. I was actually pretty good at that one. Actually, oh, it was the first game as a child that I beat my older brother in,
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, and that's the first time I'm like, I can do this. I can beat somebody.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you remember Dragon's Lair?
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
I never learned how to play that game. I would just put my quarter in and die. I had no idea how to make anything work in that game or Space Ace.
Yeah.
And,
I've beaten Dragon's Lair 1, not 2.
yeah.
Dragon's Lair 2 is pretty hard, but I beat Dragon's Lair 1, and it's hard. It's
I felt like you'd go to the arcade and there was only ever like one guy there that knew how to actually play the game,
Yep.
and the rest of us would just put our quarter in and die.
Yep. No, and I had that guy. There was a guy at the same arcade where I played like Street Fighter and stuff all the time. We had one Dragon's Lair game, and it was this one guy. And basically, I just sat there and watched because he got so good that
Yeah.
1 quarter he could get past all things. So it was basically watching a Saturday morning cartoon. I just sat
Yeah.
there and watched them run through the whole game.
Yeah, because the animations and graphics on that was like next level for back then. Anyway, now it's like Battle in the Barrel.
Yeah, exactly. There was even a game similar to that that I loved on the PlayStation called Brain Dead 13. And the animation to all that was amazing. And what was interesting about that one is that it it allowed you to take a different path. Like you could go all over this mansion depending on how you moved your character around, but it still was in that dragon's lair that you better hit the direction or the jump or whatever at the right time. So it's still
Yeah.
that format, and I think it had like 4 CDs or something crazy that you had to
Oh wow.
keep on replacing CDs in the PlayStation. A lot of fun.
Only crazier thing would be floppy disks.
Yeah. It's the good old floppy disk, and people don't realize, like, there was 2 floppy disks. There was the 3x5 floppies, and a lot
Yeah.
of people forget there was the actual floppies, the ones that actually flopped around,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and people forget about those. But yeah, I remember that's the first time I played Doom was about 6 or 7 3x5 floppies.
I didn't even own a computer until after I bought my first house. So
Yeah, I lucked out. My father, he's always been kind of a kind of a tech head. He likes buying that type of stuff. And one day as a teenager, he came home with a Packard Bell. And I think a year later we had AOL. So we were literally on AOL on an old 23.3 modem, and going through old internet, Prodigy internet, all that type of stuff.
when you had to murder a robot to get online.
Yep, yeah, exactly. We had a murder robot to get online, or all of a sudden you're middle of doing something and someone picked up the phone or called, and there goes your internet.
Yeah, yeah. The good old days.
Yep, the good old days. Fun times. Fun
I
times.
I, th- I think I had a DSL line the first to start with.
Wow, that was big boy internet from back in the day.
Well, I mean, so I was I bought my first house. I was 22,
Yeah.
and do you remember Gateway, the
Yeah.
cow boxes?
Mm-hmm.
So I think at that time, it was probably really early, DSL, but we had a dedicated line for the internet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the benefit of getting your toys when you're an adult, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
pretty much.
So the only games I was playing on there were Warcraft and Starcraft, but the real-time strategy games, not the MMOs.
Yeah. I love Warcraft and StarCraft. I tried playing StarCraft online and then realized that the rest of the world took it way more seriously than I will ever will.
Oh, yeah. On the BattleNet?
Yep, on the BattleNet. And I remember I went on StarCraft because I was playing StarCraft. I'm like, oh, I'm okay at this game. Let's see how online was. Done.
Yeah, you remember the Team F?
Yep.
I see my wife defeat the Team F by bitching at them until they called it off. It's how did you do that? It worked.
Hey, whatever works the win. That's all that matters.
Yeah. The good old days. Yeah. So yeah, I never really even got into the MMOs at all.
Yeah, it's funny. I enjoy the MMOs. If you kind of look behind me a bit, I have some the old World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings.
What was the one before that? It was
EverQuest.
EverQuest,
and then Ultima Online was the big one before that.
Yeah, those are the ones I remember my friends playing.
Yeah. Ultima Online, the first time I played that was, and I would say that was probably the first MMO because I played the old text-based one, but it was a different experience. This was the first one where I would say I encountered pure trolls on the internet space. And I remember I created a character, someone befriended me, and then they gave me a bunch of stuff. So I'm thinking, oh great, I found a nice person online.
Mm-hmm.
And he sent me outside, and I made friends with more people. And then I found out later I was basically the rabbit sent out to bring in all the other nice people, and he was part of a raiding crew. And next thing you know, we were all surrounded by 10 to 15 people, and he killed the other people I just met and myself and took all their stuff back, plus theirs.
No.
And I was just I was like, friend, why did you do this to me, friend?
Oh, that's so bad. Yeah, the reason why I'm actually a YouTuber is because of the Star Wars game, right?
Oh, yeah.
So a friend of mine used to play that and way too much, and it would make stuff and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, wait a minute, if I can make fake money online, I bet I can make real money online. And like, so he like went down, so he started like learning how to, market online and affiliate marketing. And he was kind of like a mentor to me for online marketing. And he was the one that actually convinced me to start, a D&D YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like many years later, after like mentoring me and doing other stuff online. Um, so that's kind of how I got in a roundabout way. It's kind of how like Nerdarchy got started.
Yeah, it's an amazing YouTube is an amazing space, and you guys have done a great job. And it's one of those things of like it's a space where you could take something that you're passionate about, put yourself out there, and actually make something of it. If the winds fall your way, be it as a full-time company or part-time business, or even just a hobby that happens to bring in other benefits, or even as a platform to open up more opportunities down the road. It's an amazing place.
Yeah, I don't like if I wasn't doing this, I don't know what I would do now. Right? It's been a few years since I've had a real job. So I feel like I might have like crossed over that point where I'm psychologically unemployable.
Yeah, yeah, I've always said to myself, unless my YouTube channel happens to explode, like, I mean, beyond my wildest dreams, I don't know if I'll ever just completely drop my current positions that I have right now. But I would love to talk about D&D, video games, and all this. I mean, that's the dream, a lot of stuff. But I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of work that goes into that stuff. I think a lot of people just think like, oh, you just turn your camera and you go. It's like,
Yeah.
nope, there's a lot more to it. That's probably the fun part. The 90 other percent what people don't see is the work.
Yeah, it's like I don't work less, that's for sure.
No, 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 no. I've known a couple of creators, more in the video game space,
Mm.
and they were very honest. They're like, hey, I because I spend 90% of my time off camera doing my job, and it's like a 7 day a week. He says I probably put in more time now, quote unquote, on my company than I've ever done when it comes to like working a 9 to 5.
Yeah. But on the plus side, so like before I did this, I was in heavy construction,
Mm.
doing road work. So the
Oh
plus
yeah.
side, like it's been years since I've had to dodge a tractor trailer.
It's about to say, yeah, yeah. I think you've hit a nice spot. You don't have to go
Yeah.
out there in the sun and do
It's
that
not
stuff.
good. Like I'm old and fat now, so like I'm not good at dodging things.
Your dexterity roll is kind of low.
Yeah, yeah, it's not good at all. So disadvantage for sure.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So what kind of content are you putting up over on TikTok?
Right now, it's a lot of like small skits for D&D, and a lot of just questions. And I'm enjoying it. Like, I didn't go to TikTok as like some type of grand venture. It was really just kind of experiment to see what the platform was like. Because I've tried other platforms before in the video and the streaming space just out of curiosity. Because you never know where opportunities lie. And I'm just putting up like funny skits and just asking questions. And someone I asked me is like, "Hey, you're asking pretty interesting questions." And I go, well, yeah, because I'm new to D&D. So
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
so when I ask a question, even if I'm kind of do so in a fun so way, I literally don't know. Like I recently put a TikTok going, "Hey guys, I'm thinking about coming to DM. I'm still learning the game. Where do you go to like,
Yeah.
or you recommend as a new DM that people should go visit?" I mean, other than of course D&D Beyond Roll 20 and all that type of stuff. I go, where do you go? And then I'm getting a bunch of suggestions. And then my hope is that I'm asking the questions that other people who are new to D&D who are on TikTok get to see answers in the comments for. That's how I kind of picture my content.
I think that's great. It's like you're asking these questions and people are like, oh, he's just fishing for engagement. He's like, no, I need answers to these questions. Someone help me with this question.
Exactly. Like I think the first
Mm.
question that I asked on there, that it was the first TikTok that actually kind of, jump started my followers on TikTok, was I found it very weird that, like, for example, back to my character Kelma Den, that he's a fighter. Like he likes getting into fights. He's, he's not evil. He's not going to try to like do anything evil, but he's a bit of a bully at times. And I'm like, he has 8. I think he has like he has 8 in charisma.
Yeah.
And I go, if I jump in a room and I beat up 5 guys, destroy them, and I go to the last minion and I go, tell me where the BBEG is, and I have 8 charisma.
Yeah.
Why am I not intimidating? I'm like, and then people came back and said, no, in those cases, you could use different scores, especially if you came in and just like wipe everyone else in the other party. There's a lot of alternatives that the DM can do. But in my mind, I'm like, anytime I do intimidation, I have to roll charisma,
Yeah.
which kind of is the antithesis of the way I'm playing my character. You can't be a tough guy and then have -8 charisma and trying to intimidate. I'm like,
So, like, there's a couple things on. One is, like you said, like a GM can just use a different stat, but also too, there's the idea of like there's a finesse to it that it's why torture doesn't work, right? Torture doesn't
yeah,
actually produce the answers that you want. Like, I mean, it's taken us a lot of time to realize this, but yeah, it's not an effective means of extracting information.
exactly.
So I would equate it to that. And it's also like if you scare them so much that they're paying their pants, that you make them incapable of being rational and giving you information that you want.
Most
Um,
definitely, most definitely.
so, but and also, D&D scores can be weird at times.
Yeah, it's just one. When I first started playing, I'm like, he goes, shouldn't like some again, like I said, there was like all these variables, and I think my DM, since he was fairly new, being the DM as well, he didn't know about so much of the alternatives of using in those situations. So every time I did something, like I'll roll, and I'm like, oh, yep, I'm in his face. I slam my staff on the ground. I'm staring right in his face. I rolled a 5.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's like I can't intimidate this guy for anything. And then my warlock, who has like 17 charisma, gets in his face. I'm like, he didn't do anything.
That guy looks like Urkel. Why is he?
Yeah,
Why is he intimidated?
yeah, that's basically what it is. I'm like, it's like I understand if the Minotaur
Yeah,
was
yeah,
intimidating him because he's scary. Why?
yeah.
But it was funny. But it's just asking those questions, enjoying my time, and just kind of approaching things in an interesting way. Like I made a skit of like, how do you fight a water elemental? So I film myself attacking my water faucet with a with my
I think
stick
I
knife.
saw that one. It
Banging
just
the
makes
water.
you look like a cat, though.
Yeah, oh, it's just like the best part about my experience on TikTok is that there are questions that I'm trying to ask your questions are, and then there's ones that I'm trying to make people know that I'm trying to joke.
Yeah.
Like the water elemental thing wasn't a question. It was a joke. And then in the comment section, people are like, well, you need to do this, this, and this. Like, well, one, thank you for the information because, I didn't know that stuff. So it was actually useful to me. And two, I don't know. I was stabbing water with a steak knife. I don't know how serious you thought my question was.
And 3, fucking nerds.
Yeah. Most
Yeah.
definitely, most definitely.
So, do you follow other D&D TikTokers?
Yeah, yeah. I do. I follow a couple people that some people gave recommendations. I subscribe to you guys now as well. So I'm following what you guys are doing. I know, was it XP level 3?
Mm-hmm.
I'm following him. The Dungeon Dudes, I'm following those guys.
Oh, I didn't even know these guys were over there on TikTok.
Oh, well, no, you're talking about TikTok. I was just, I didn't know you were talking about just TikTok. I was just talking about just in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're all great YouTubers as well. Yeah, I've hung out with many of them. So yeah, I was curious about, I guess, TikTok, because I figure like my audience is less familiar with the community over there.
Yeah. I mean, I would say the people I follow over there, I've just been following a lot of people who've just been interacting with my content in a way. Like I'm not like doing like a follow for follow thing.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
I'm not that, but it's I've been following people that have been pretty interesting when it comes to doing like cosplay stuff. I've been following people that there was like I'm trying to make. I think it's Game Master Craig. He's been putting out some interesting content of just basically giving out ideas of how to do builds and things of that nature, or just tips on how to build a game world, and an interesting perspective on stuff, not directly how to, just kind of like, hey, this might be a good idea to launch a story with, or how to create a character with, and I found that pretty interesting. um but again, TikTok is a space that it seems like a lot of, especially in the D&D space, I've noticed it seems like it's less how to's and stuff, and there's a lot of like, hey, I'm like dressing up like a character, and I want to
Yeah.
play out this character.
Yeah. Well, you only have a minute too, so it's like you can
Yeah.
only convey so much information. But actually, that's one of the things I do find impressive is there are people that do manage to get points across in that um you know small amount of time.
It's an art form, doing everything in a minute. I mean, from doing, I'm sure you understand, doing YouTube for as long, back in the day, 3-minute videos, 3 to 5 minute videos were like the goal. Now
Yeah.
now everything's 10-minute videos. And trying to do something in a 1-minute video, I'm like, well, what am I going to bring to the table? And I'm like, well, I can make something funny, like the me attacking water, or I could ask questions, or I could just be like, I could go like, hey, from perspective of a new player. And I usually try to like put a tag of like, hey, I'm a new player, so I might be wrong on this. This is how I'm viewing this. What are you guys' answer to the situation? But it's just been very interesting seeing the creativity on that platform. And I started doing videos on non D&D videos, just overall like creator advice
Mhm.
for those same people, because I'm like, hey, some of you guys are very talented, and but this might be a way to branch out or do stuff, because this might be the first platform you've done any type of video content on. And while TikTok is its own little special world, being a content creator, there's certain things that seem to be universal, the way to do things on all the brands. So just trying to give advice in that way as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's super helpful. I mean, you've been around for a while creating content, so there's definitely some things you pick up, over that time period.
Yeah, most definitely. And I always kind of go by rolling, because on my main channel, when I'm doing video game stuff, I do video game news, but I try to approach it as this is like, hey, this is from my experiences, my thoughts on what's going on, but I'm never going to complain that I'm the one who knows all. I'm never going to like, even if there's something that I know very, very well, if someone comes to me with a good perspective on things, even if I find mistakes in what they're doing, I'll showcase to them, hey, this is where we defer, and these are my thoughts on things. Because I always kind of go by a rule of, if you watch my content, and even if you disagree, I want you to at least understand where I'm coming from, and not just throw out stuff just because I'm the one with the camera and I know
Yeah.
all. That usually throws me off when I see people who try to do that.
So, do you know what kind of character you'll play next?
Um, I'm kind of thinking of going a completely different direction and doing something like playing a bard.
Okay.
Um, and just because I'm enjoying, like, Kelma, even though again, like, he's kind of like this tough guy, he's become like almost a comedic foil of the group, in many ways. And I realized, like, I enjoy doing that type of stuff. And what's a great class to be a comedic foil
Yeah, yeah.
than the bard? So I might be a bard, or maybe even a cleric, um, this go around, because I know in MMOs and stuff, I tend to play a lot of healer classes. So I might try to be a healer in a TTRPG.
Wait, are you just going in alphabetical order?
Am I?
Barbarian, bard, cleric.
I didn't even think about that. He goes, well, maybe I should go all the way from back and become like an artificer.
Yeah, yeah.
First. So, but yeah, no, I honestly did not think I was doing that. But yeah.
I don't know. I just picked up on it. So you mentioned wanting the GM. So when are you going to flop to the other side of the screen?
I think after I'm done with the Curse of Strahd campaign, because I don't want to split up my attention on things. I kind of want to use this time of being a PC to kind of really take in as much as I possibly can. Because not only was I learning my character and just the overall flow of 5e, I was trying to learn how my colleagues were playing their characters and how the DM was reacting to all their things. So, like when they were running spells and stuff, like I had to learn how spell slots worked from the
Right.
warlock. I had to learn how a lot of the bonus action stuff, from my character, the monk, who was all about bonus action stuff. So I think after that happens, that's when I might go into that type of stuff, and I might just start with something, um, a more straightforward module. Like I know that was it the Mines of Phil
And
Delver.
mine's to find ever. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be my first one. Um, and I told my colleagues, I'm like, hey, if any of you guys want to be part of my first campaign and watch me, hop on the DM struggle bus for a bit.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Is everyone in the game a content creator?
No, no. I'm the only real main content creator. The Warlock did some content for a short period of time, but I'm the main content creator, so everyone streams to my channel.
Okay.
But the cool thing is that music was literally done by the thief, along with a friend. Some of the art assets was done also by a friend of the stream. Some of the animations we have in our intro and whatnot for the stream was done by the warlock, and I edited it all together. So even though they're not content creators like say you and I, they brought their talents to the board to make something pretty neat.
Nice. So do you guys pre-record and put them up, or are they live stream?
They're live stream. They're live stream. So I have to do the whole like bumper and cut for break and hold on all that stuff.
Yeah. Nice. Um, so do you guys know how much longer this campaign is going to run? You said you're 12th level and you're looking at like 15, 16.
Yeah, we keep on asking our GM that, and he's like, I don't know, maybe like 7 to 10 more sessions. He goes, you guys are getting pretty far in. My character just quote unquote became an unofficial Jedi with the sun sword.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's we're getting towards the tail end of stuff. Like we still haven't even been in Ravenloft yet, which our GM has been telling us like, hey, you guys have been avoiding Strahd's invite for quite some time now. There might be some repercussions
Yeah.
to that.
How many times have you guys encountered Strahd so far?
We've encountered officially once in level 3. We encountered him level 3 in the graveyard. And that was interesting because he obviously tried to take Irina, and my character, and I guess my GM kind of praised me on this because he's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. I was the only one of my group that actually didn't just like buy all the crazy weapons. I actually bought like a supply kit, so I had like rope and grappling hooks and all that
Yeah.
stuff. I literally wrapped up Irina because she was getting like summoned to him, and we got out of there, but you got Irina's brother instead. So now it's kind of
Oops.
like a oops. So now it's got a rescue mission in this regard. So that was the main one. Then we had instances where we ran into associates of Strahd who were like, hey, the first one was like, no, you're coming with us right now. That didn't end up good for anybody involved. And then the second time, I forgot the name of the character. Another associate of Strahd came and just gave us a formal invite and said, okay, here's the thing, the whole 9 yards. Matter of fact, with the first invite, uh, when the vampire came, one of Strahd's vampire minions came to get us, he basically beat us up and he put us in the carriage heading to Ravenloft. But then we decided to destroy the carriage that we were in
Uh,
and get the heck out of there. And we also beat up one of Strahd's brides. So far we've escaped from Strahd once, beat up one of his brides, destroyed his carriage.
gonna give you guys
uh,
a bill.
Yeah, we basically get a bill. He goes, and we have Irina, and we have all this other stuff. And our GM's like, he goes, I have no idea why Strahd hasn't just come and just murdered all you guys yet. Because you guys are terrorizing Barovia right now.
Yeah, I think we've encountered Strahd twice so far. Once on the road, and then once at the hedges, the hedgestones,
Yeah,
and then we just recently got the invitation. We
yeah,
accidentally got Arenia killed. I feel slightly responsible. So I don't know. Did you guys go to the lake?
yeah. We went to the lake. My character almost he almost swam with the fishes.
Oh, nice. Did you guys get hit by the lightning bolt?
No.
I don't know if that was a part of it or not, or it was just something our GM did. But we went to the lake, and then angry Strahd clouds show up and hit our group with a lightning bolt. Well, before
Wow.
that, like Irene was like freaking out because of the lake stuff.
Hmm.
So I cast sleep and put her to sleep so she would stop freaking out. So she was technically asleep when the lightning bolt hit. So like no saving throw, just damage. And I was like, oh. And the GM's like, she's dead. So
Yeah.
we had to get her resurrected from. We went to the abbot. He resurrected her,
Oh, okay.
which led to wedding dress shopping. I don't know. The group gets strange. I don't know if that's a part of the adventure or not, but
Well, we yeah, it's for us what's been going on, because I guess our GM said that we kind of went, he's in Strata, you could kind of go almost anywhere,
yeah,
but
yeah,
the order we've been going is kind of weird. Um, I don't I when the warlock blew up the carriage that killed the barbarian's cat. Um, well, we just got done in a big fight, and Irina was in a carriage nearby, and we were at the tower, the wizard's tower,
yeah.
and where the carriage was. So when he luckily, and it was we didn't even know our warlock was going to do this. I grabbed Irina because she was literally like at 2 HP, and she was resting. I picked her up and I drug her far away from the tower. I forgot what the reason why, because we were trying to get out of there. He blows up the he blows up the carriage that kills the Minotaur's cat. We literally just got a small suit of armor, an automated suit of armor on our party as another helper that got destroyed in the explosion as well. And I forgot the Vistani woman, the name of the Vistani woman who helps. Yeah, she's an NPC. Who owned the carriage. She was in the blast zone, and she was only to 1 HP after the blast. And our GM was cracking up. He says, "In with one firebolt, you could have killed Irina, you killed the suit of armor, you killed the cat, you almost killed one of the most useful NPCs in the
Yeah, yeah.
story." I go, like, what are you guys doing? I'm like, I don't know. At this point, we don't know what we're doing at this point.
I struggle with that adventure in the sense that all the NPCs have similar sounding names. So they all
Yeah.
blur together like to one name for me.
Yeah. Oh, Isabella. That was her name. Isabella. It was Irina, Isabella.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Ismit.
Isabella, yeah, Ismet, yeah. Because Isabella owned the cart that had, I think, oil and stuff inside. And yeah, we basically almost killed everybody. And the only people who didn't get hit by the blast was myself and Irina because I happened to drag her away for whatever
Oh,
reason. We were,
the tower with the cart. We just encountered that. It's
oh,
done the most damage to us in the whole game so far.
oh,
Between
yep.
they set off they set a trap off on the tower, and we accidentally blew up the carriage.
Oh, yeah. For us, our thief went inside the carriage and we got
Yeah.
in. We got in, we got out just fine. We actually took a bunch of cool stuff that was in there. We went in the tower, we did all this stuff. It was when Isabella was like, "Hey, we need to cover our tracks just in case Strahd is watching us." And our warlock just out of nowhere goes, "Oh, so we don't need the carriage anymore. I know how to get rid of it." And then he cast firebolt on the carriage, and that's when everything blew up.
Yeah, because there's a trap on it. The
Yep.
and we like I failed to pick the lock. So our barbarian is like, "Don't worry, I have my own lockpick," and he rips it off, and then the carriage explodes. and,
Yeah, yeah.
and like it was right after we figured out how to make the carriage work, where it summons, spectral mounts or whatever to pull it. And we're like, oh, this is so cool, and then it got destroyed. So
Yeah, and that's what our GM was saying. Like when Isabella woke up, because he goes, she was only down to one hitch point, but he's saying with the explosion, he goes, you basically knocked her out for a short period of time. She's like, we could have hit the carriage. I
yeah,
could have cast the spectral horses, and it was in a complete mess. It was just like very interesting. And then, when we were up at the mountain temple as well. I'm not too sure if you have been into that area yet. Um,
yes, I think we're getting ready to. We either just got there or we're getting ready to go there. I don't know. We get this whole list of things to do, and it's
yeah,
like Santa Claus's list, the naughty and nice list.
pretty much. But yeah, when it comes to the bride, because is Irina was alive, we happened to get dresses.
Yeah,
And I won't tell you where we happened to get dresses, and we happened to have it on us. And I'm sure you know the whole issue with the abbot, how
yeah, yeah,
weird
yeah,
that
yeah.
guy
That's
is.
why we went dress shopping.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we happen to have dresses to dress up whatever he made to try to trick Strahd, and we're like,
yeah,
yeah, this is a bad idea. And that's actually where we're at right now. That's where our last session ended. We
yeah.
were literally camped out in his little courtyard, and we're like, this is going to go real bad real soon. Oh,
We
and we accidentally destroyed Crest.
that happens, as it does.
Yeah.
It's if you haven't destroyed a town or two, are you even playing D&D?
Yeah, basically we accidentally destroyed Crest, and that's where Isabella was from. And yeah, we have to keep one eye open now, because we're like, yeah, she basically hates everyone in the party except for the monk and the barbarian, because she realizes the monk and the barbarian were the only two that were part of that plan.
The our barbarian is keeps trying to get one of the are they what are they? What's the family? Morgrave? No, that doesn't sound right. The Were Ravens.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He keeps trying to get one of them to bite him.
Oh yeah, we've befriended those folks.
Yeah.
So, we haven't been bitten yet. Uh I think the closest that we got to getting bit was my character, before we realized it was behind the ravens,
Yeah.
and my character just kept on shooting my sling at the ravens, because he kept on getting pissed at why these things kept following him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
Go
like,
away.
yeah, basically he was just like, he's like, they keep staring at us. Hmm. I don't like this. And I just pull out my sling, and everyone's like, why are you attacking random animals? I'm like, because he doesn't like being watched. He goes, he knows that he's from the forest. Ravens don't act that way. So he's thinking
Yeah.
like someone's watching us. So he knows.
So what made you decide to stream your first D&D game?
Be very honest, I was like, since I stream and do YouTube all the time, I was like, let me replace a stream day
Yeah.
with a YouTube day. And then when I talked to the rest of the group, I'm like, hey, I know you guys aren't all content creators and whatnot. Would you mind if I stream the session, and then everyone could experience, my first time, excuse me, my first time going through the game, and it might be fun. I don't know if people enjoy it or not, but it might be fun. And it took a little bit of convincing, but everyone seemed to be on board. That's why we created art for the characters and stuff, because a lot of the people just didn't want to have like their camera, like a webcam on or anything like that.
Okay.
So, um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It was just one of those like, hey, this might be a good, you know, content for the channel. And it was different. Like one of the main reasons I agreed to do the D&D is because I've done video game stuff so often on my channel, and doing YouTube and Twitch has always been like this like little side business hobby thing of
Mhm.
mine, that I was like, sometimes you got to just switch things up mentally.
How how has your audience responded to the D&D content?
It's become one of our most watched, to be very honest. I'm not a big streamer by any stretch. I'll range between 17 to 35 people at a time, but we've had over 100, 200 plus streams occasionally on the D&D channel, on the D&D streams. And it's been very interesting seeing that. And a lot of my regulars, and I think one of the reasons I decided to do that to stream was like, hey, my audience loves RPG. They love fantasy stuff because I
Mm.
play a lot of Elder Scrolls games. While this is different and some people may not connect to that, I'm sure that there's some, Venn diagram
Yeah,
in
yeah.
between. And it worked out. And I actually got a couple people who watched the streams and now are coming in to me and saying, hey, I'm beginning to look up at TTRPGs because of that. And it's been fun.
Nice. So do you feel like, as opposed to getting new people, it's more of your base audience that are kind of, glomming onto that?
Yeah, yeah, I would say so. It's a mixture of my base audience and adding new people as well to that. And it's we're definitely not trying to be like Critical Role or something like that by any stretch of the imagination. But I feel that I wanted to showcase to my audience that hey, I'm willing to try different type of stuff. This happens to be in the same ish realm of what I play, but instead of video game, it's tabletop. And they seem to be really encouraging on that, and they see how much fun I'm having. And sometimes when you see a creator that you enjoy, even if they're not doing something directly you enjoy that time, if you see them having fun or seem energetic about it, it brings an attraction. And people see my core audience seems to enjoy that I'm having so much fun goofing around playing the angry monk.
Nice. So yeah, you guys are pretty deep into it now. How does the rest of the players and people on the stream feel about being streamers now?
Um, to be extremely honest, most of them are kind of like, hey, this was an interesting experience. To them, to be extremely honest, to them, they're just playing the game.
Yeah.
And all of them have been, I don't know if all of them streamed, but I know some of them have, been on streams before, like playing like, a Call of Duty with a friend that happens to be streaming and whatnot. Um, but some people are like, hey, this might be something to expand on. I know my DM is looking at possibly, doing his own stuff and streaming, and because he really, really, really enjoys DMing. And I'm like,
Right.
go for it. I mean, what I always tell like young creators and whatnot is that, you know, don't overthink it. Sometimes just go and do it and see if you enjoy it, and it might turn out great. It may not, but you never know if you don't try.
So, will they be signing on for the next campaign?
I think a lot of them may, because most of them, I know my DM, my warlock, my thief, they're very, very into playing D&D and other tabletop RPGs. Some of them are
Mm.
playing multiple games already.
Yeah, yeah.
So I just asked them, I'm like, hey, after this is done, he goes, who wants to be in my session? And I've already got like two volunteers who are going to be in my session when I decide to DM myself. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be a new venture to me. I'm really enjoying my time with this. And I just want to learn more about the game. And I got the D&D Beyond Legendary bundle, which I have pretty much all the documentation now that I could possibly ever use and then some. And I'm just spending time learning and having fun with it.
So, is there much interaction with the chat while you guys are playing?
We try to like type in messages. What we try to do is not interrupt the talking game flow of the session.
Mhm.
But like like as you know, like when you're in combat or other people are talking, I'm quiet, letting them do their thing, and I'll type in chat saying, "Hey, welcome everybody. Hope everyone's well." Things of that nature, um, and stuff like that. So the only time I think the only time we actually interrupted and actually talked in the session is when someone happened to donate to Extra Life
Yeah, yeah.
um, on my stream, and I'm like, hey guys, you normally don't mention stuff like this, but you guys someone donated like I think it was like $25 to Extra Life, and I go, that's important. So I wanted to mention that.
Do you find that the other players are engaging in chat?
Yeah, actually they are. Matter of fact, a lot of them are actually in the stream chat while we're playing.
Yeah.
So they're kind of adding in their own side commentary with the ridiculous things that happen, and laughing, talking to chat and everything. It's been a lot of fun. We kind of use the, instead of using like the Roll20 chat to send messages to each other,
Mhm.
just kind of goof around. We kind of used my Twitch chat to send messages to each other. It's been pretty fun.
Nice. So we're up on the hour mark. Any final thoughts before we head on out?
To be extremely honest, my only final thoughts is that I'm happy to be in the TTRPG space and learning, and um, I feel it's something that's been way overdue for me for quite some time, and I hope to keep going on from there, and learn more even beyond D&D in the future, because as somebody who spent most of his life paying attention and knowing things about video games and covering video games, this has been a good balance for me.
Yeah, any genre you can think of is out there to explore. Well, welcome to the hobby. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. And until next time, everyone, stay nerdy.